spent the following weeks deep within Siege Tabor, dedicating his time to a twofold task: adapting his limited remaining technology and mastering the prana bindu nerve control necessary for desert combat. The Siege workshop was primitive by Wayne Tech standards, yet the Fremen engineering was unparalleled in its focus on resource efficiency and environmental integration. He learned from a Siege artisan, a quiet, one-eyed man named Kynar, how to manipulate plastics and fiber into materials that could withstand the deep desert's heat and sand abrasion. Kynar, in turn, was fascinated by the density and advanced metallurgy of the salvaged bat armor plating, a material that could stop a high-velocity projectile but was utterly useless against a slow blade attack. The core of his new existence was the stillsuit, his new bat suit. Bruce meticulously stripped the remnants of his cowl and utility belt. The sophisticated avionics of the original cowl were now reduced to a simple manually tuned radio receiver, powered by the minimal excess energy harvested and converted by the stillsuit's own filtration system. He recalibrated the cowl's highly sensitive infrared and acoustic sensors. The IR was tuned to search not for body heat, useless in the desert's thermal wash, but for the subtle subsurface temperature differentials that indicated pockets of trapped moisture, or more critically, the faint shimmering heat of a distant Harkonnen water extractor pumping vapor from the deep rock. The acoustic dampeners in the ears were replaced with specialized sand-dampened seismic receptors, a human worm detector, amplifying the low-frequency thrum of the sand. He was no longer detecting criminals, he was detecting water and the Maker. His utility belt underwent a radical transformation. The entire concept of fast projectile weapons was discarded. The remaining 20 batarangs were not thrown, they were disassembled. Bruce used the hyper-durable ceramic alloy of the wings to craft 5 short, impossibly sharp, slow blades, weapons designed to meet a Holtzman's shield with the precise, slow penetration required to pass through and deliver a lethal blow. Their structure resembled a fixed crisp knife, yet without the spiritual imperative to draw blood, a pragmatic modification the Fremen grudgingly accepted. He retained the short-burst power source of the grappling gun, not for traversing verticality, but for a microfilament garrote designed for silent strangulation, a weapon of pure intimidation and control, perfectly suited for the Conley of house warfare. This entire adaptation was a practical application of mentat logic, a human calculation devoid of emotional noise. He was forced to become his own computer, processing tactical input, resource management, and kinetic possibilities in real time, relying only on the sheer capacity of his mind. The failure of the AI was ironically the catalyst for his evolution in this universe. He learned to process the input from the sand sensors and the IR moisture detectors with a speed that startled even the Reverend Mother Jessica, who observed his training from a distance. He was, to her, an unmentat, a human computer who functioned on pure will, not Sappho juice conditioning. His combat training with Stilgar was brutal, focused on the slow blade principle. Bruce had mastered every martial art in his universe, yet here he had to unlearn speed. Every strike had to be measured, precise, and deliberate. He learned the Fremen's adaptation of prana bindu control in combat, moving the body as a single fluid unit, perfectly controlling mass and acceleration to defeat the shield barrier. Stilgar found Bruce's innate strength and conditioning impressive, but his reliance on speed a fatal flaw. It took Bruce nearly a week to truly master the necessary slowness, the precise psychological control needed to deliberately underperform kinetically while maintaining lethal force. "You move too quickly," Stilgar criticized after a sparring session with Krisk knives. "Your movements attract the shield. The enemy does not fight a warrior, they fight the shield's failure. You must become the silence between the heartbeats." Bruce incorporated the lesson. He began to integrate the full extent of his intimidation tactics with the slow blade. He realized that the sheer slowness of the attack, the cold, deliberate nature of the cut, was its own form of psychological warfare. The enemy had time to recognize the threat, but not enough time to react, a different kind of fear. He was no longer the Dark Knight of Gotham, but the shadow of Shai Hulud, a slow-moving phantom of death. During a routine night watch in the wind trap chambers, Stilgar approached him. "The Atreides will fall soon," the Naib stated plainly. "We have been feeding them scraps of intelligence, but their fate is written by the Bene Gesserit hand. Our true enemy is the Harkonnen. They drain the rock water for their own power." Stilgar then presented a series of crude, charcoal-drawn maps. "The Harkonnen are testing a new line of mobile water extraction units near the South Ridge. They are shielded, but they are not stationary. They rely on speed to escape the Makers and heavy weaponry to fend off our raids. Too many men have been lost trying to disable them. This operation is draining the underground water we require to complete the terraforming plans of the late Kynes." Bruce scanned the map. His mind immediately saw the pattern the crude lines represented, a logistical chain of supply and extraction. The Harkonnen units were using a specific, calculated rhythmic movement to avoid the worms, a pattern that a mentat would instantly recognize. But the human mind could find the flaw in the mentat's logic. The flaw was predictability. "Their movement is too regular," Bruce observed, his voice a low rasp through the stillsuit's mouth plug. "They use a rhythm. We cannot stop the machines, but we can call the worm for them. They will know the Maker is coming, but they will be unable to break the pattern fast enough to escape its path without attracting other Makers." Stilgar's blue eyes widened slightly in respect. "You understand the rhythm of the sand. You offer a solution of true desert power." Bruce pointed to a specific point on the map, a narrow canyon bottleneck the extractors would have to traverse. "We use what they fear, the noise. We do not fight the machines. We make the machines fight the desert. I need 5 Fremen, sonic emitters that can be buried in the sand, and enough explosives to shatter the rock, but not the sand itself." The plan was a pure Batman tactic, not a frontal assault, but a psychological and tactical ambush, leveraging the environment as the ultimate weapon. He was proposing to weaponize the Maker. He had traded Gotham's gargoyles for the deep desert's geological anomalies, and the fear of a massive life-destroying predator for the fear of a common enemy. He was ready for his first taste of Conley on Arrakis.
The operation to sabotage the Harkonnen water extractors became known in Siege Tab as the Noise Trap. Bruce, now going by a Fremen-given epithet, Shaddam's Shadow, a playful, disrespectful jab at the Emperor, led a small elite strike team of 5 Fremen, Chani, Kynar, and 3 others known for their precision and speed. The journey to the South Ridge extraction route was a masterclass in water discipline and stealth. They moved with the economy of motion Bruce had only recently mastered, traversing miles of open desert in the cool pre-dawn hours, their stillsuits working perfectly, every drop of moisture preserved and accounted for. As they approached the designated Bottleneck Canyon, Bruce used his modified cowl, its seismic sensors operating on salvaged power, to map the precise subterranean path of the sandworm activity. The Fremen's knowledge was instinctual, Bruce's was computational. He confirmed the Naib's intel. The Harkonnen extractor units, large mobile factories on thick treads, moved in a predictable, measured cadence designed to keep them just below the threshold of calling a maker, a rhythm known to the mentats overseeing the operation. Bruce's plan was simple, brutal, and effective. He utilized the last of his intact gadgets, 6 small, high-yield sonic emitters salvaged from the core of his cowl's communication system, and set them to pulse at a specific chaotic frequency known to agitate and attract the worms. These emitters were buried deep into the rock walls of the narrow canyon, designed to transmit sound into the rock, not the air, amplifying the vibration. The final element was the use of his gel explosives, modified to release a slow-burning chemical vapor instead of a rapid concussive blast. The goal was to shatter a precise section of a cliff face above the bottleneck, creating a large-scale non-atomic rockfall without generating the shield lasgun reaction. The first extractor unit approached, its shield shimmering faintly as it rolled with the methodical pace. On Bruce's hand signal, Kynar detonated the explosives. The noise was surprisingly muffled, a heavy thud as the rock face buckled, sending several hundred tons of shale and granite cascading down, completely blocking the canyon and trapping the extractor. Simultaneously, Bruce activated the sonic emitters. The effect was instantaneous and terrifying. The intentional, chaotic rhythm of the emitters shattered the Harkonnen unit's mentat-programmed movement pattern. The trapped unit, unable to move, began shaking violently as the low-frequency thrum of a massive worm, drawn by the new, unnatural chaos, began to rise directly beneath the canyon floor. The unit's own crew, aware of the gravity of the situation, began to transmit distress signals, a cacophony of fear. Bruce watched with a cold, professional detachment as the sand erupted, swallowing the multi-ton machine whole in a grinding shriek of metal and rock. 3 more extractor units, attempting a disorganized retreat, broke their rhythmic pace and in their panic created a new, chaotic signature. A second maker, larger than the first, rose in the distance. The Fremen watched, their faces passive, yet their blue eyes gleaming with satisfaction. The shadow of Shai Hulud had paid a significant portion of his water debt. Back at Siege Tab, Stilgar was satisfied. The Harkonnen mentat will be furious, he pronounced, pouring Bruce a rationed cup of spice coffee, the highest honor. They will see this as random violence, the act of a madman. They will never suspect the deliberate precision of the attack. You are a different kind of fighter, outworlder. You weaponize fear and knowledge. But the operation had not been unnoticed by all the major powers. Hundreds of light years away, on the Bene Gesserit homeworld of Wallach IX, the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam received a report from her Arrakis-based agent. The report detailed the improbable success of the attack, noting the specific use of controlled, chaotic sonic rhythm to summon the Maker, and the unusual psychological warfare employed against the Harkonnen crew. An unpredictable variable, Mohiam mused, her voice low and resonant, her eyes closed in meditation. She was reviewing the multiple branching futures revealed by her own spice-addled prescience, and a specific cluster of possible futures, the ones centered on the Kwisatz Haderach and the coming jihad, were now obscured by a cloud of uncertainty. The arrival of the Desert Phantom had injected a chaotic element that even the Sisterhood's collective prescience could not fully parse. The future was blurring. Mohiam dispatched a message to a minor Reverend Mother, Sister Maya, currently operating as a political liaison on the planet Caladan, the homeworld of the Atreides.